What's up, guys? Jeff here, and today we are going to be talking about pharmaceutical cost and why it is so outrageous in our country. So let's get rolling. According to the National Conference of State Legislature, prescription drugs account for about 10% of our overall health spendings in the United States. So that's about $328 billion a year. Now, there are state and federal governments that have focused on keeping costs down through various programs, manufacturer rebates, preferred drug list, prior authorization, bulk purchasing, and many large retailers have $4 prescriptions for widely used drugs, but we're going to get into that a little bit later. Now, everyone knows generic is cheaper than brand name drugs. Now, the pharmaceutical companies want you to buy that brand name drug and spend more because they use the money for research and development so they can create new wonder drugs. Now, Dr. David Belk wasn't quite sold on that idea, so he did a little more digging to figure out what they were actually doing with their money. So he looked at financial reports of the 13 largest pharmaceutical companies in the world, and Dr. Belk found out that 45% of the entire total revenue for these pharmaceutical companies came from the United States. And that means that 55% came from the rest of the world. Now, why is the U.S. paying almost the bulk and paying far more than any other country in the world? And so he dug in why. Like I spoke about earlier, that there's the manufacturer rebates, right? Well, the reason that most countries' costs are lower is because the government can negotiate the prices with the pharmaceutical companies. Now, the pharmaceutical companies were one of the largest financial backers of the Affordable Care Act. And there's two reasons why. The Affordable Care Act brought millions of people who were previously uninsured into the insured world. Now, those people are going to the doctor and they're now buying prescription medicine. So they have increased their base of customers. The other aspect to the Affordable Care Act was it stated that government is not to interfere with free market economy. Now, what that means is the government cannot legally negotiate prices with the pharmaceutical companies. So they have a larger customer base and they can't be talked down on their prices. So that's one aspect of why the U.S. pays more. Now, Dr. Belk also wanted to know, where is the money going that all these pharmaceutical companies are taking in? So he looked over 13 companies over 8 years and found out their total revenue was about $3.8 trillion. Now, the combined total profits was about $744 billion. They spent about $643 billion on research, and they spent $1 trillion on marketing. So it's clear that a lot of money is going into somebody's pockets. A lot more is going into marketing to sell us more brand name drugs, and some of it's going to research. But when you take a deeper look, you'll find that most of the research is for drugs that we already have to try to get more studies to make the drugs look more effective. And they're also buying other pharmaceutical companies to obtain their drugs. And then the real kicker is they can use research money to pay physicians to prescribe drugs to their patients to see if the drugs actually work. That seems a little shady to me. That's just the facts. The other part to why costs are so high is supply and demand. We need drugs. Some people need drugs to live. Allergic reactions need EpiPens. Diabetics need insulin. If we're really sick, we need antibiotics, or we could die. So we're willing to pay whatever it takes to get our medications. And The third portion is kind of looking at the waste aspect. So, how many times have you grabbed a tablet and wasted a tablet because the medication was for half a tab, or a 1 ml dose and you had a 2 ml vial? Now, pharmaceutical companies package medications oftentimes overfilled compared to the doses that we need. So, it creates waste right there. According to the National Academy of Medicine, eliminating all the waste could allow us to insure 150 million Americans. And the American Academy of Medicine also said that saving half of our hospital waste could provide groceries for every household in the country for 1 year. Now that's all waste. And pharmaceuticals are a big part of that waste because everything expires. Now, the Food and Drug Administration makes pharmaceutical companies show their medication is safe and effective until its expiration date. It doesn't actually make them find out how long the medication actually lasts. So the Chicago Tribune found out that a mid-sized hospital in Boston throws away about $200,000 worth of drugs a year because they're expired. If that's true, across the country, that would be about $800 million a year for hospital pharmacies alone in waste. So the biggest part of the problem is the cost of the pharmaceuticals and the way that our healthcare system is set up. Now, nurses can intervene because obviously we see these frontline issues every day. Nurses' voices should be very important when it comes to reform, and we need to express that. When we see something is wrong, we need to voice our concerns. So we can voice our concerns of what we're seeing, waste products, the unfair cost to our patients and how it affects them. And we should voice our concerns about that. The other aspect that we need to consider for nurses is we need to help decrease waste for medications. By creating better par standards, being more efficient of going through our supplies that we have, and ensuring that medications that are about to expire get administered rather than being wasted. And we just need to make sure that our voice is heard in the issues that we see. That's why nursing has such a powerful impact. But I hope you guys really enjoyed this video. I will put my links in the description below, and I hope you enjoyed learning more about how pharmaceutical costs are so outrageously expensive in the US. Bye.